Welcome to the Mindful Garden. It's a beautiful day. Well, it was a beautiful day. It's now night. It's kind of late a little bit. Share this out. Today I'm kind of having a relaxed one. I mostly just want to talk about some of our intentions in the Mindful Garden, both what me and my wife are looking into doing and planning on doing from a spiritual aspect. And it's interesting from my standpoint because I come from a very scientific understanding of things, so approaching spiritual things has been a very interesting journey for me, and it makes it so that I've come to be able to explain things to people who are a little more skeptical, just so that they can understand it, so that they can at least grasp the basics of spirituality, psychic abilities, and stuff like that, so that they can open up to the understanding that there is something there, just not necessarily what is all hyped up in media and that. So anyway, going with that, my wife has been learning to be an intuitive channeler and healer, which from my understanding is a way for people to activate within you your natural ability to heal through belief and totems like crystals and stuff like that. So like people who cure themselves miraculously with belief are basically activating within themselves the ability to self-cure, which all of us have, just basically convincing the body with the placebo effect. Now, I've come to understand it that way, at least from a scientific point. So, like, we understand it in a scientific way of studying things. If you give people medicine and you tell them medicine, some of them are convinced it's medicine and it works. So the same thing can be said for Reiki healers and all of that, which do energy work, as long as people are wrapped up and connected into it, that activates within them the healing ability. Do you believe belief and will are the same thing? Someone's asking a question here, which is interesting. Do you believe belief and will are the same thing? I don't know what you mean by that, Chelsea. For me, believe like I can't believe things, and that's something I'm actually struggling with, is my faith in things. And that is something that I'm learning from my wife, which is kind of cool, and her faith in things and how they're working for her, which I'm actually witnessing, which is very cool, with her healing her trauma and working in adverse conditions and stuff like that. So as we work in the Mindful Garden, we are going to open ourselves up to that. And said healing by Chelsea here is asking a question, is I said healing by belief. Yes, like there are people who are able to heal themselves by belief alone, and I know it has worked because it's documented. We can't deny it. It's out there. It's just done by a case-by-case study, which is interesting because it means that it depends on a person's ability to believe in their healing, and what heals them spiritually might not necessarily heal them physically. So someone might be healed spiritually in a way, but not be healed physically from an ailment of any point, if that makes any sense. So like someone may have cancer, and instead of being cured of their cancer, be able to handle the impending life-threatening issue that it raises. Yes, this, like, I don't know anybody personally that has had much of a healing experience other than a few people I've talked to, and they involved a little bit of a dietary change as well, which goes into what we'll be talking to and educating people with in the Mindful Garden, which is why we also are expanding into the physical garden, which is the permaculture garden eventually, which is going to be an interesting challenge because it won't make money easily. So I don't know how to turn this into an enterprise, which gets me talking about the topic I was in last night with universal basic income, and my thought that maybe I could create a fundraiser or something that would create a universal basic income for people who do good in this world, which would be, I think, a fantastic contribution. I wish some wealthy person would take up the charge and do that. Yes, if we have good, strong will behind things, we can definitely make changes. And it takes physical action and mental action as well, which involves belief or faith in some level. So anyway, a little shout out to people popping in, and thank you for checking it out. Just quick talk today, just because, like I said, we're exploring the healing and spiritual aspects and how we can help people, and that's what we're going to do at the Mindful Garden. And I am exploring doing a fundraiser to get it started, and as part of our enterprise, like I said, like in past videos, I want to perpetuate the good we do in this world. So feedback on ways to fundraise and come up with ways to get things started to get the enterprise going in the first place would be greatly appreciated. And that's about 15 minutes. Let's close out with Chelsea here is asking what kind of fundraiser, I've actually thought about doing like long treks, or even if I just walk in my local area, try and do the distance of walking a certain, like making it across Canada or something like that, and try and raise money for every kilometer and put 50% towards, say, my expenses for living, and then 50% towards building the fund that would eventually pay out someone like myself, but hopefully a younger version of myself that has more energy and spunk, that could do a permaculture garden setup and volunteer somewhere like a food bank and maybe even provide food. That's the kind of thinking I have, at least. But that's the business side of the Mindful Garden, is like charity is a deep part of what we do, and in that doing, I see a need for, I would call them like Earth Rangers or Guardians, people who are switching to permaculture and reasonable farming practices and providing food for the world, and I think we need to support that. And in that, they're also wise people who actually usually offer guidance and teaching in that permaculture, so they're people who can offer also spiritual guidance. Like my friend Lee, who is kicked in right now, who I'd like to say hello to and thank you for popping in. But I try to keep these videos around 15 minutes, so I'm going to close out with a prayer to open up hearts and open up minds to the prospects of us working together and taking steps to heal Mother Earth and our community through positive change. Let's pray to that. I'm just going to do that one quiet in my mind because that's the prayer. I want to say gratitude for everyone, love to everyone. Everyone out there who needs a hug, I am sending a virtual hug to. Have yourself a good night, and we'll chat again. Welcome, and have a good night from the Mindful Garden.